My goodness, and victory for Bangladesh. What a way to start this tournament. It's only a reconfirmation of them as a growing force in the world game.
Hello everyone, this is the 9th interview for the Bangladeshi perspective. Ajke we are with Sheikh Mohammed Irfan. He is an amazing person. I'm so glad that I'm able to do this with him. He is the managing partner of Bloccelerate VC. He has been a co-author for like 2 amazing books and done a lot of amazing things. So if you have to like briefly introduce yourself, would you do so for the audience? Because I feel I'm justice put this in that introduction.
All right, thank you, Siam, and Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and nice to meet you all. So AMI, Bloccelerate VC is a blockchain venture fund. I'm the managing partner of that. But along with that, you know, all these fund management, I do it through my company, which is Irfan Holdings, and through which it's a technology consulting firm, but we also manage other additional funds. So there are 4 funds that I manage till date. So Bloccelerate VC is one of that. Spacefund is another one where their main focus is investment in space industries. And besides that, you know, I also manage AI-Quants Fund, which is investment for high frequency trading, automated trading. And the 4th one is a debt fund for the country of Greece, where we are investing solely in companies that has a digital track in the country of Greece.
Achha.
So, but besides that, you know, my background, you know, I'm Bangladeshi, of course, and I'm proud to be that. I'm happy to be that. You know, I've learned a lot of things, and I'm glad to be part of this program. Thank you.
Thank you. So Jader idea ne as to like what he's talking about when he's talking about funds. So basically the general idea hocche mane ki these entities have funds and tara kore ki tara risk neয় in companies or in ideas that show potential. তারা তাদের যে ফান্ড আছে ওইটা ইনভেস্ট করে কোম্পানির মধ্যে এবং যদি কোম্পানি ভালো করে ওই কোম্পানিতে যেহেতু ওই ফান্ড হোল্ডারসদের স্টেক থাকে ওই স্টেক হোল্ডারদের লাভ আছে ইটস আ ভেরি লাইক এ রিস্কি ভেঞ্চার বাট এট দ্য সেম টাইম এইটা মানে খুব নেসেসারি টু প্রমোট গ্রোথ প্রমোট ইনোভেশন কারণ ফান্ড ছাড়া অনেক আইডিয়া ইজ ডাই সো দ্যাট ইজ লাইক দ্য জেনারেল আইডিয়া সো মুভিং অন টু আওয়ার ফার্স্ট ইন্টারভিউ কোয়েশ্চেন ওইটা হচ্ছে মানে কি can you give me a brief institutional walkthrough which got you here?
Right. So well, thanks for sharing that. So আমার আসলে institutional walkthrough and background is diverse. আমি আমার ছোটবেলা থেকে my parents have been in the military, and you know.
আসলে আমার বাবা মিলিটারিতে.
Nice to know that. Well, because of that, I actually lived in many different places. So, which is why I went to different schools, both in Bangladesh. My early school, I started off in a church school, and then went to an Air Force school. And post that, I was also in school in France, in Malaysia. And then all these experiences, I think, so one of which was very interesting is that when I, ek ekta country te jokhon giyechi, especially when you think about countries like France, where the educational system is very different. In fact, আমি যখন আমার স্কুলে গিয়েছিলাম ওখানে কেউ ইংলিশও বলতো না আর of course বাংলাও তো বলতো না। So আমি ফ্রেঞ্চ পারতাম না তখন, so I had to figure out my own ways of communications with people, and then I had to learn the language. But besides that, ওখানের যে বেসিক আমাদের যে কমন যে সাবজেক্টস গুলো আছে, যে সায়েন্স or any one of that, the approach is different. So আমার ওই এক্সপোজার গুলো, it basically allowed me to learn things differently, and every time kind of like start off from ground up, meaning that whatever I knew, I had to restart that entire process. This kind of experiences actually prepared me to be where I am right now, or the schools that I've been here in the West prior to that.
Achha. So like if you had to, the second question, let's say if you had to point out to any part of your resume, which part do you think played the most important part to bring you here?
Right. Well, thanks. I think, of course, that's a very tough question because there are a lot of variables, and we cannot tell all the aspects of it. But আমার ক্ষেত্রে I would always say that I think Bangladesh taught me a lot of things. It taught me to be patient. It created high tolerance in me around a lot of things, which was beyond my individual control. In addition, family values, happiness, despite everything going downhill, has been a powerful precursor for me. So the fact that we have a lot of problems generated a large number of ideas আমার মধ্যে and problem solving skills. So I think that was very, very important for me. So learning in Bangladesh, just to be able to survive and do things and being able to charter through different things prepared me to what I do in my resume right now.
That's crazy. When you put it that way, Bangladesh does prepare you in a good way in terms of tolerance, that creative problem solving.
That's
what part or what is one thing about you that is not on your resume that has helped you come this far?
I think so. I think that's again, another part. A tough question again, in the sense that not everything I would be able to tell, but I think it is the same as before. My experiences in Bangladesh went on to see the very process of problem solving and design thinking to me. And মজার জিনিস হচ্ছে যে I think I just realized that I was design thinking and problem solving before I knew the definition of it, and that is thanks to because like you learn how to do things and solve problems and utilize various models and Bangladesh it constantly we practice it. We don't realize it. At least in my life, I did that. And when I came to know the definition of it, then I'm like, okay, this makes sense.
That is great. This is funny because like a lot of the times আমাদের একটা inherent problem solving থাকে মানে system থাকে, and then later you get to know there's a name for it.
Right.
Like I once remember how like the company I was with, a 10-minute school, which is an educational platform, it had like very regular meetings and like iterations on each step, and it was working very well for the company. Shuni, there is a term for it called like agile thinking and what, and I'm like, oh wow. So I can relate to that. The next question is like a very casual question. আমাদের যারা guest থাকে, they often tend to read a lot or watch a lot of movies. Is there like, or are there books that have like influenced your life greatly, or are there any movies like কয়েকটা যদি suggestion দিতে হয়, মানে which ones would you point toward?
Sure. I think books, and first of all, I'm glad there are people who are taking the time to read still. I feel like that's something like a dying art these days, especially with the new technologies and people having like 3 minute or 3 seconds attention span. But that being said, there are অনেক বই আসে, অনেক movie আসে. So if I were to point out some of them, one of them would be for me, it's called 21 Lessons in Life by Yuval Noah Harari. Them to read this book. And then there's this another book called Designing Reality, which those are very interesting books for me. For movies, I was always fascinated by Star Trek, The Terminator, Interstellar. So those are kind of the movies that always interested me. Lately, my favorite book is, and which is what I was talking to you the other time, it's called The Mathematics of Life by British mathematician Ian Stewart. It's a very interesting book. I recommend you to read it because it is definitely, and anyone to read it, it definitely gives a new perspective of thinking in the world of life science and medicine through the eyes of mathematics. And I believe like that's where the next generations of scientific revolutions are going to be.
When you mentioned, I have a habit of reading a lot of books. That's how I procrastinate before exams or anything. I just start reading a book. So I will definitely take a look. আমার book shelf-এ এখন 21 lessons of the 21st century আছে. That's like
fantastic.
Actually on my reading list. I will like finish it by Thanksgiving or something. But that is great. আমি লিখে ফেলবো suggestion গুলা. What is like the next question, which is what is one unusual habit that you have that has like helped you a lot? It could be something as normal as আমি প্রতিদিন সকালে উঠে মানে কি এক কাপ চা খাই বা মানে কি, you get my point?
Right.
It's like unusual, but like is there any habit that you have which is
Right. I think caffeinating yourself, I wouldn't call it unusual.
আচ্ছা
A lot
আচ্ছা
of us would do that, but আমি যেটা বলতে পারি, I think inherently I always question the logic and essence of things, and I would
আচ্ছা
say that's kind of like an unusual habit to have, because for me, it was like whatever that appears or come across are just one version of the reality. So so my habit was and is always to dig deeper, to understand like the questions behind an effect, so cause and effect. So I think this thing, I do it like every day, everything, even like when you're saying like unusual habit of like whether having the first morning cup of coffee, like I'll be like drinking it and thinking like, why am I having this, do I need caffeine?
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা
You know what I mean? So I think I would say that would be an unusual habit to keep.
আচ্ছা, so like মানে কি to recap what আমাদের guest বললো, it's like really questioning assumptions that people take for granted যে কোনো কিছুতে.
That's correct.
হ্যাঁ,
That's
যে
correct.
মানে কি if like there is a culture যে হ্যাঁ আমরা মানে কি বৃষ্টির সময় খিচুড়ি খাই, I don't know, and you are like আচ্ছা, like why do we do this, where has it started from, and benefits good.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
it's a fascinating way of thinking. Acha, next question is like a fan favorite. We questioned what is one like apparent failure that you can like remember very vividly? How did you feel back then? How did you get back up?
Right. Well, thanks. And I think that's a very good question. And so for me, there could be many, but the fact that I chose entrepreneurship over a steady career was perhaps the most apparent failure that led me to a successful path. The fact that I moved in different areas in career, from teaching to journalism, there are very little correlation between each. But I managed to drive my own correlation and continue to do so. So as an entrepreneur, when I say that, I'm going to quit my job and going to be an entrepreneur, a lot of people didn't take it lightly. It's like, why would you do that? You know what I mean? So I think that was considered to be an apparent failure, but it did lead me to where I am right now.
Acha. Okay. So like the idea that you just left a steady
That's correct.
job to like take a risk, and it could be considered as a failure for a lot, but manaki eventually let you. Acha. Okay, that is great. I guess like one common thing that I get across guests, every guest always start with I have had a lot of failures. I think that is very inspiring. When you see like talented people or like successful people always starting with I've had a lot of failures, I think it's very inspiring that this is the norm, that you are supposed to fail.
Thanks. And I think that's also part of the learning process, because if you're not failing, you're not able to learn. And if you are afraid to fail, then you are afraid to try new things and afraid to embrace new opportunities. Because at the end of the day, like I said, nothing is absolute in this world. We don't even know what the universe is. You know what I mean? Anyways, we don't want to go on a tangent. Yeah.
Next question, is there like a particular advice that you have like heard recently that has deeply influenced your thought process or like your day-to-day interactions?
Right. So in fact, my late grandfather, my Nana, gave me a very important advice in my life. He passed away early this year. He was my teacher, mentor, and a friend, everything. So he always, whenever I was young, he used to teach me, and he told me, one thing. He's like, seek knowledge, pursue an understanding of the interconnectivity of life, science, and the universe, and your pursuit will present you with one challenge after the other. So that was one of the most important advice for me from him, and I continue to do so in his remembrance and and in his memory.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I think he paved the path for you to always be able to like find challenges, and like find a path which you can explore, and still be intellectually curious and driven. Acha. That's great. Yeah, that's pretty insightful. Um, Moving on to the next question, which I'd say, so in Bangladesh, there's this like notion that high school, but college, but university, you have to focus a lot on studies, which is justified. And like I see the importance behind it. However, আমরা অনেক সময় time পাই না to like focus on other activities that also provide avenues for growth. So Manaki, is there any time investment that you did during like college or high school that you are very happy that you did?
Right. No, first of all, thanks for sharing that. And I think, like you mentioned, Jay, everything is important, but also balancing it is very important, meaning that if you could create a structure and routine, it doesn't need to be, just one thing. That way, you are gaining other experience. So for my case, investment around time, slowing things down to analyze, understand, to use things and around my internal and external environment better, and basically was one of the best investment that I made so far, meaning that sometimes you just need to know that you need to slow things down before jumping into a ship without understanding why and what I'm signing up for.
So every time Manarki, you come across like a border decision, you take some time to think about.
That's correct. That's correct. I think reserving a time in a day is also important to reflect. What have you done so far throughout the day, and how does that add up to where you want to be, or what you are designed to do, or what you're good at doing.
And is that a regular habit for you?
That's correct. It's a recap mode, because as I said, I'm involved in so many things. So it's important for me to come back and maybe just like half an hour, just recap things, not overtly thinking, but I also tend to write things down. So whether it's in my notebook or whether it's my phone notes, I always write them down, and I always try to connect each one of them and try to understand it.
So like this habit of like daily self-reflection of everything you're doing. So that is phenomenal advice, actually. I don't think Manusjan take like enough time out of their day to do that. There's this like, even in the US, like a hustler culture, but where does it all add up, or how does it all connect? A small j thought to like sit down and think about it on a cake, and I think that's great advice.
Right. And again, I would say that I guess a lot of people, they do that, but they don't realize they do that. So when having a structure and plan, like throughout the day, like a time of the day, I'm just going to recap and I'm going to block all the noises around me, is something that one can always do. It works for me.
Yeah, perfect. Next question, take a funny question. What is like one like monetary investment, small, that you consider essential? ধরেন আমার ভালো ইয়ারফোনস না থাকলে ভাল লাগে না, মানে I always আমার যত টাকা আছে ওটা জমায় একটা ভালো set of earphones invest করি. So like what is one type of small monetary investment that you consider essential for yourself?
Thanks for the question. So for me, I think, first of all, I don't think no monetary investment can be considered the best, because through money you cannot buy the most important things in life. However, I think investment for me towards my self-development, whether it's education, professional development, or just travel to seek knowledge, was and will always be my best investments, because at the end of the day, it does not perish. It remains an investment in myself. So
investment in self-development.
That's correct.
That is great. I've got like various types of responses when I ask guests a question. last যে interview করলাম একজনকে, he's like Muhammad Amanullah, and he's like the organizer of English Olympiad in our country. Amazing person. উনারটা হচ্ছে জুতা. I always try to buy good shoes. It is just our personal like to habit. So it's like কত variety. And you're talking about self-development. It's like fascinating. Right. The variety is fascinating.
Of course, variety makes things interesting.
Yeah. So okay, I'm like learning so much out of this. The next question that I have sometimes like it's 7 p.m. and you sit down to work and you have like, I don't know, 4 deadlines or like on work on your desk, and you're at this point that's overwhelming like this I can't focus. So what do you do when you feel overwhelmed or when you cannot focus?
Right. Well, thanks for the question. And it's timely because right now we are in the Thanksgiving week ahead. So I'm having a lot of deadlines, and my workload, as you may know, that because of my involvement in many places, it's piled up. So it's a good timing for this question. So again, it's normal. First of all, the way I work through this is that, for starters, I tell myself that I'm not the most important thing in my own life, as we have plenty of things to do in life where we need to see beyond oneself. So, and in this case, it always charges me back up, and as I have missions to accomplish with little time. So, meaning that it's just seeing beyond yourself. Sometimes you got to push to make things happen, but at the same time, you know how to formulate yourself towards those questions. Yeah.
Okay, so the thought that the work I am doing, that the impact goes beyond myself, so I don't I cannot be selfish. I have to work for the greater good.
That's correct.
That's a great advice. I think I got a similar advice from someone. His name is Mashruf Hussain. He's known as the super cop in Bangladesh for his work, and he give a similar response. What drives you to do good work in the morning? He's like, I think about if I die what will people say in the newspaper, or what will it appear? And he goes, a Harvard graduate, or Harvard PhD student and all that. And he's like, I don't want just institutional. I want this person who has helped these many people passes away, and until I achieve that, I will keep on. They're very similar. And,
right. Yeah. No, that's fascinating to hear.
What is the next question? This is a great question. Recently, through the advent of social media and content publication, there's this huge amount of advice out there for young people. What are some bad advice you would say given to young people who are looking to enter your field?
Okay, this is a very deep question, and let me see যে আমি এটা rightfully answer করতে পারি, but in a nutshell, আমি চিন্তা করলে যে honestly no advice can be bad inherently, as it is driven from perspective analysis and consideration towards others, because you care, you genuinely care, and you're giving an advice. However, personally, I dislike the notion when society or peers guide or tells you that you have to be or do a certain kind of thing because that is important, such as being an engineer or a doctor or whatever is the only way you're successful. The truth is that we are each so uniquely designed to address unique problems in our world. Therefore, we should all individually explore our own pathways. And it reminds me of a famous song from Pink Floyd. We don't need no education. We don't so in this world, we don't need educators. We need knowledge seekers and knowledge facilitators. So when it comes to advice, listen to everyone because they're facilitating your knowledge and for your own process of thinking. But at the end of the day, the advice that you're going to take is the advice that you formulate for yourself, and then you digest it for yourself because that makes sense to you.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's you're talking about taking advice as like crowdsourcing, like get
That's correct.
various perspectives and get various perspectives, and then
That's
try
correct.
to then create and digest one for yourself, because that is the one you will follow.
Right, because at the end of the day, as a Bangladeshi, I'm very aware, and I've had that experience. You have your, relatives, your seniors, your juniors, all giving all sorts of advices. But the thing is that when you think about it, and especially when you live in parts of the world like this, or if you go to places up in, Scandinavia, like Norway, where they don't talk to each other that much. And they don't give you advices, on the go, because not everybody cares, right? But then when you know that when somebody is giving you advice, you know that they care about you, so they're giving you something important, and so you respect that, you take that, but you analyze that, but you take it as you prefer. So yeah.
Okay, that is a good advice. So if you were to give advice based on your experience yourself to people enter your field, what advice would you give?
Well, I mean, so first of all, this will be very biased, right? Because I'm coming from one perspective discipline. But before thinking about that, so what I like people to think that, first of all, they need to know what they're getting into, meaning that the investment world is a behemoth, especially technology investment. It's not just making an investment. Call it like a specialized banking and risk assessment. So you have to understand technology and the particular technology very well, and also be able to analyze the companies from one company to another. So in order to do so, you have one's got to acquire holistic knowledge around technology, economics, finance, which will be important tools for success in this field. But the most important factor, I think, students or anyone who's looking to enter the field should look into the question of why they want to enter this field, or what are you trying to achieve. In my case, it was a chance encounter, but at the same time, driven by my own quintessential question. I wanted to transform the world through technology. I couldn't sleep because I have many ideas. I'm an entrepreneur at heart, but I can do only one thing at a time. But being in this investment side of things, I'm exposed to so many companies, and I'm working with many companies at the same time, so, and a lot of that are equally connecting with my thought process, like the kind of thinking that I'm doing. So it was an easy choice for me, and I'm able to be at the heart of the global technology developments and executions at the same time. So I think the important question is that before one chooses any field, one must ask themselves that question: that why am I doing what I'm doing? What am I trying to achieve?
Okay, so Manaki, that would be your advice. Know what you're getting into, know what you're trying to achieve very well, and only then decide whether you want to enter.
Right, because at the end of the day, if you're good at something, you are good at something. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to be good at something that you're not good at. I mean, it will definitely it will definitely give you good sense of understanding of things. But of course, everyone, like I said, is designed for a specific purpose. So it will prepare you for the work that you need to be doing.
Okay. Okay, that's great advice, actually. Moving on to the next question. I'm like doing it very fast, because I know you're time constrained and whatnot. I know you're very busy, and like you have like a lot of commitments. However, if people wanted to reach you, what would be the best way for them to reach you?
Well, thanks, Yam. Again, they can always get in touch with me through email. I can provide that. Do you want me to say it out loud, or do you want me to just send it to you? I mean, they can reach out to me through my email. It's info@sheikhmohammedirfan.com.
Okay.
And any questions you have, especially when you're building a startup or in the investment world, you want to get in, I'm happy to provide them.
Okay. Like our usual initial hypothesis chilo je there will be a common trend among guests of like the best way to reach out is through references. That would be my initial hypothesis, but অনেকে দেখি যে pretty open to like random emails from as long as it's like well written and like it has a specific purpose. So hey, I was surprised by my finding.
Right, and also what I can say that for the viewers over here, or they can also reach out to you directly, or the project that you have undertaken, and I'm easily accessible through that.
Okay, thank you. Final question: where do you see yourself in 5 years?
That's a very, very good question and a very tough question. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But I think as I was talking to you prior to the interview, I think my vision is to unlock the deepest mysteries and the unknown related to science and life. And so one of my goals is to be in a field where I use science, maybe mathematics, physics, to go deeper into the field of life sciences, which was never my forte. And all the things that I'm doing is somehow connected to that, like understanding, because human body is the most amazing machine out there. We just don't know how it works in a lot of things. Everything is a inference. It's not accurate. So I feel like maybe 5 years down the line, I want to be there. I don't know if I will be there. I'm in the process of that. So and that's basically, in other words, it's going to finally line all my ducks to challenge it.
So yeah, that brings us to an end of our questions. That was fun. I learned so much. Words for the audience, Jay. If you learned something, keep on following. Chances are ek-ekta interview bhalo lagbe, ek-ekta lagbe na, and that is our point, honestly. Jay, log into any interview that you see, Jay. তুমি কিছু শিখতে পারবা, a field that you're interested in. 5 minute দেখো, একটা question and answer শুনে চলে যাও. We just want for you to be able to learn anything from any interview. So like, don't feel forced to stay for the whole hour in an interview. Don't feel forced to watch all of the interviews. I'm usually follow-up article Lykke on like particular insights that I found like amazing. You can read those as well. Whatever works for you. We just want you to learn and get some guidance and inspiration as a Bangladeshi from another Bangladeshi. The next interviews, we have interviews with Hassan Saad Ifti Bhai from Oxford. He literally studies rocket science. So that is like that's going to be an amazing interview. You might have heard him from the Humans of Oxford post that went viral. Then we have Nazmu Saqib Bhai. He's completing his PhD at MIT. He started Kalpo Kaushal in Bangladesh. Amazing guy, singer and musician by heart. So next interviews will be fun. I hope you stay updated. And this brings us an end to our interview. If you meet another guest, Sheikh Mohammed Irfan, anytime, please do thank him for his time, for his advice in your life. Write him a personal email if you found this inspired you in any way. I think it's a great practice to express gratefulness to anyone who has helped you. So I hope you stay updated, and thank you so much. I will end the video recording now, and then we can finish the interview. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you so much, Siam, and thanks the audience. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay.